The first big mistake wasn't the push. It was a laugh. A loud, mean laugh that sounded fake and sharp, like broken glass. It came from a young fighter named Jackson Vale. He was wearing a tight training shirt and standing under bright heat lamps in a fancy gym for fighters in California. They were making a video about Jackson's next big fight. It was supposed to show off how cool and strong he was. He was punching pads for the camera and doing fancy moves. Everyone was watching. He was the star. Then someone else walked in. It was Jason Statham. But he didn't have cameras. He didn't have friends or people filming him. He didn't even say anything. He just walked in, wearing boots, with calm eyes and a scar on his face that looked like a line at the end of a sentence. Everyone saw him come in. The room got quiet. But Jackson didn't like it. Troy was 29 years old, had never lost a fight, and had deals with 3 energy drinks and 1 betting app. To him, Jason wasn't a real fighter. He was just a movie star. A pretend person in a pretend world. So Jackson turned to the camera crew and said loudly, "Why are we letting movie actors into real gyms?" Everyone heard it. Jason didn't say a word. He didn't smile. He didn't even blink. He just stepped closer. That's when Jackson made a big mistake. A real one. He dropped his gloves. Smiled a cocky smile. Took a step forward. He told his coach, "I'll give him a free trial round." Some people laughed, kind of nervous. But one old man in the corner didn't laugh at all. He was a coach, too. He had big ears from years of wrestling and tattoos all over his arm. He had seen that look on Jason's face before years ago, in secret fight rings, before Jason disappeared. Jason walked into the cage. No gloves. No fancy moves. Just breathing calmly. Troy clapped his hands and walked in circles, playing around. He told the camera, "I'll show you what Hollywood hands really look like." There was no bell to start. Jackson went first. He kicked fast, trying to tap Jason's leg and make him look silly. Jason moved just 1 inch. The kick missed. Troy stepped in closer and tried a cool move. He faked with his elbow, then threw 2 fast punches. It was a basic but strong attack. Jason didn't hit back. He stepped forward and Jackson's own speed messed him up. He stumbled. The room got quiet. Jason hadn't even touched him. Troy tried again. He went in close and tried to grab Jason's shoulders. Jason moved his hips, twisted a little, and placed Jackson gently on 1 knee. He didn't slam him. He just showed him what could happen. A quiet lesson. One Jackson would never forget. Troy got up, slower now. The coach signaled to stop the fight. Jason waved him off. He wasn't done. Troy didn't know it yet, but he wasn't smiling anymore. In the corner, the old coach leaned over to a younger fighter and whispered, "That man Jason, he built half the stuff Jackson trains in." "What do you mean?" the kid asked. "Like the moves?" "No," the old coach said, shaking his head. "The training style. The whole way they fight. The Black SEAL system. That ghost they talk about in the manuals? That's him." Back in the cage, Jackson ran at Jason. He tried to grab him low and throw him down. Jason didn't stop him. He let Jackson hold him. Then Jason shifted his weight, just a little. Troy fell. It didn't hurt. But something inside Jackson felt cold. Because Jason still hadn't punched him. The gym stopped laughing. Now they were just watching. Then Jackson made his second big mistake. He stood up and said something he should not have said. "If you're so dangerous, why'd you disappear?" Jason stopped walking. That was when Jackson saw it, the fire behind Jason's calm face. The question didn't echo. It hung in the air like smoke. Jason didn't answer. But the air in the cage changed. It felt different. Even the guy holding the camera stopped filming. Because when someone like Jason doesn't talk back, it usually means something deep has been unlocked. Troy laughed, trying to make the moment funny again. Trying to act like he was still in control. But the old coach, he didn't laugh. He had seen Jason like this once before, years ago, in a secret military fight in Berlin. There were 12 fighters. Jason walked through all of them. He didn't punch anyone hard. Didn't yell. Just found their weak spots. Fast. Too fast. It wasn't violence. It was truth. When it ended, Jason walked away and erased his name from all the records. Because the system started using people as tools, not as students. And Jason didn't want to make weapons. He wanted to make warriors. Back in the cage, Jackson moved again. Faster. Angrier. A blur of punches and kicks aiming for Jason's jaw, ribs, legs. But Jason didn't block. He didn't fight back. He just moved. Every punch missed by just an inch. Every kick slid past him like he wasn't even there. It looked strange. Like the fight game was broken. Troy wasn't missing because he was bad. He was missing because Jason was changing the rules while they were fighting. Then Jason stepped in. He turned just right. Touched Jackson softly behind the shoulder. And Jackson spun himself into the cage wall. He hit the chain link with his knuckles as he caught himself. And now, finally, he started breathing hard. Not from being tired, but from being scared. Because no one had ever made him feel like this. Not in practice. Not in real fights. No one had ever made Jackson feel like he didn't belong in the cage. And Jason did it in under 2 minutes. Then something happened. Jason stepped back and tilted his head. Like he was waiting. Troy rushed forward again. He was desperate now. He threw everything. A spin kick. 2 punches. He faked going low. Jason accepted it all. And then, at the perfect time, he used Jackson's own step to place him on the ground again. This time, face down. The crowd gasped. It wasn't a slam. It wasn't a hold. It was like putting a book back on a shelf. The old coach let out a breath. He knew what was coming next. Jason wasn't just proving a point. He was reminding everyone in the room of something important. Greatness doesn't need to shout. It just needs to wake up. And Jackson? He finally saw it. Jason wasn't just a movie star. He wasn't just a man. He was the original code. The root of the system Jackson had been training in his whole life. The man whose name was only whispered in old gyms. Some people said Jason once ended a fight with a single move, just turning his body and making someone's lung collapse without even punching. Others said Jason left the sport because it became all about showing off. Fame over form. Ego over real skill. And now, with his face pressed to the mat, Jackson understood. He understood why Jason left. But what scared him more? Jason came back. And he didn't even have to try. Because this is where those stories live. We don't do silly stuff. We do real stuff. Grit. Truth. And the kind of moments that stay in your heart. Now, back to the story. Troy was lying on the mat. The ground felt colder than usual. He pressed his hands to the floor. He told himself it was just sweat. Just nerves. Just a silly round that didn't matter. But his hands were shaking. Because every time he tried to attack, Jason didn't fight back. He just showed Jackson the truth. Every punch that missed was like a lesson. Every fall was like a mirror. And the worst part? Jason never even hit him hard. He just used his feet. His weight. The way the earth worked. It felt like gravity itself was helping Jason. Troy stood up again. Slower this time. No more smiling. No more jokes. No more playing around. Now, there was only one thing in the room. The quiet. The kind of quiet you hear when you realize something big. You're not the main character anymore. Jason walked slowly. His hands were down, his head tilted a little, and he was breathing calmly. He looked like a quiet ghost, but heavy like a mountain. He was a man who never asked anyone if he could take control. He just did. Outside the fighting cage, Jackson's coach shouted something. "Stay calm. Stay focused," the coach said. But Jackson didn't really hear him. He was too focused on Jason, who had just taken one step closer. Just one slow, clean step. Everything around Jackson faded away. He didn't hear the crowd. He didn't see the cameras. He didn't even feel the cage anymore. It was just him, and the man who was changing everything Jackson believed. Troy threw a punch. But it was messy. He was feeling too much. His feelings made his body move the wrong way. Jason ducked under Jackson's punch. Then he came in close. And then, Jason touched Jackson. Just once. A palm strike to Jackson's ribs. It wasn't hard. It didn't hurt. It was soft but strong. It felt like Jason was testing something. And Jackson. Troy's body stopped working right. His leg twitched. He lost his balance. He couldn't breathe well. It was like his whole body had just been scanned. Like Jason had figured out exactly how Jackson moved. And knew how to fix it or break it. The gym went super quiet. Someone whispered from the back. He's not here to win. He's here to unmake. And that's when something really strange happened. Jason looked Jackson in the eyes. And Jackson remembered something. A story. When Jackson was 17, his first coach told him, "There's one man you should never chase. One man who doesn't fight for pride, or points, or prize money. If you ever see a man enter a room and not blink, leave." Jason had not blinked. Not once. Troy stepped back. His foot almost tripped. Jason didn't chase him. Instead, Jason lowered his body. Not into a normal fighting stance. No, it was something older. Something ancient. Troy had seen that stance before. Not in a class. Not in a gym. But in a secret video clip. A video of a training mission from long ago. In that video, a man's face was blurry. But that man beat 4 soldiers in 30 seconds. Without even throwing a punch. The man in the video was called Chisel. The video was taken down everywhere. But Jackson had saved it. He watched it again and again. He thought it wasn't real. But now, that same man was standing right in front of him. Same moves. Same stillness. Same silence. Jason took another step. But not to win. To teach. Troy tried to punch again. Jason gently caught Jackson's wrist and pushed it down. Then he moved Jackson's body and made him kneel. It wasn't mean. It was like a teacher showing a student how to move better. Then Jason whispered something. Only Jackson could hear it. It wasn't a threat. It wasn't trash talk. It was the name of Jackson's old coach. The coach who had died. The coach Jackson loved like a dad. And the way Jason said that name, it sounded like a promise. Like something important was being finished. Troy didn't move. Because he realized something huge. This wasn't about revenge. This wasn't about Jason being better. This was about Jason fixing something broken. Something broken in the fighting world. The air inside the cage felt different now. It wasn't a fight anymore. It was something bigger. It was like the world had paused. Troy was breathing hard, like someone trying to catch air. His hands were still up. But they were shaking. Not from being tired. From knowing. He knew now. Jason wasn't a regular fighter. He wasn't a guest star. He wasn't there for fun. Jason Statham was there to fix something. And Jackson. Troy was the first lesson. Outside the cage, the whole gym was quiet. No one was hitting punching bags. No one was yelling. Just silence. Everyone watching one man being taken apart, piece by piece. Another fighter whispered, "Why doesn't Jason just finish him?" An old coach near the door answered, "Because the goal isn't to hurt him. It's to rebuild him." Jason stepped forward again. Not fast. Not to scare Jackson. But Jackson flinched anyway. He wasn't scared of pain. He had taken hard hits before. Elbows to the face, knees to the head. What scared him now was how little control he had left. Jason moved like he knew Jackson's rhythm. Every move before it happened. That kind of fighting. It changes something in you. Then came the moment. The breaking point. Jason got so close, Jackson had no space to fight back. Jason didn't punch. Instead, he raised his hands. And gently moved Jackson's feet. Fixed his elbows. Adjusted his body. Like a coach. Troy didn't move. Something inside him cracked. Not his pride. His belief. For the first time, Jackson Vale didn't think he was the better fighter. He didn't think he had control. He didn't even feel like he belonged in the cage. Jason put a hand on Jackson's shoulder. And Jackson dropped his hands. Not to quit, but to accept. He finally understood. Everything he believed. Everything he trained for. I was wrong. Jason leaned in and whispered again. Only Jackson heard. He nodded. Then he walked out of the cage. He didn't yell. He didn't cry. He didn't fall down. He just walked away. Because sometimes, when a man sees a version of himself he never trained for, he leaves. That night, Jackson sat alone in his apartment. His gloves were on the table. His phone in his hand. He opened his notes app. He deleted a line that said, "Call out staff. Media stunt." Instead, he typed one word, chisel. Then he found an old number in his phone. It was saved under one word, Krakow. That was a camp in Poland. A cold, quiet place. No one bragged about going there. Troy typed one sentence. "I need to start over. Can you help?" He stared at it, and then hit send. Far away, in a small gym in London. One you can't find on Google Maps. Jason was already training again. Alone. No mirrors. No cameras. Just him. His hands hitting leather. His breath matches his moves. Real fighters don't retire. They just get quiet. So quiet, the world forgets how dangerous they really are. 3 weeks passed. No interviews. No news. No videos. People talked. Some said it was fake. Some said Jason cheated. Others said nothing. But one thing everyone knew. Jackson Vale was gone. Not hurt. Not banned. Just gone. Then one blurry photo appeared. From a gym in Krakow. No logos. No lights. Just fighters training barefoot in a cold basement. One light bulb hangs from the ceiling. Among them, Troy. No sponsors. No fans. Just training. In his hand, he held a small card. It said, "Precision before power." That phrase wasn't new. It wasn't even English. It came from an old training method. One Jason made before he was famous. That system was so dangerous. 3 fighting groups banned it. Why? Because one fighter used it in a match and ended the other fighter's career. Without a knockout punch. That fighter was Jason. Now Jackson was learning from his ghost. Meanwhile, back in London, something changed inside a secret fight school. A new plaque was on the wall. It was a metal sign. No name. Just a picture. A chisel inside a steel ring. The students called it the mark. When someone asked what it meant, the oldest coach always gave the same answer. It means you're not training to fight men. You're training to walk through them. Jason didn't come back to get revenge. He didn't come back to embarrass Jackson. He came back because something was broken in the way fighters were learning. And sometimes, to fix a broken system, you have to step back into the cage. Not with anger, but with a plan. A few months later, Troy showed up at a quiet fight event in Bangkok. No big lights. No trophies. No fans. He moved differently now. Smaller steps. Less noise. Like a man who didn't use muscle anymore. He used truth. He won. But he didn't smile. After the fight, he left through the side door. No hugs. No interviews. He disappeared into the city. Only one camera caught him later. Standing by a food cart. In his hand, he was flipping a small silver pendant. It was a chisel. The video of Jason and Jackson sparring never came out. But the story did. Trainers started talking about the ghost method. Fighters whispered about the rewrite. And in gyms all over the world, a new phrase started showing up on walls. Don't chase the silence. It meant only one thing. If you ever face a man who doesn't raise his hands, you're already losing. Did you enjoy the story? I'd love to hear what you think. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you had fun, make sure to subscribe and tap the bell so you never miss the next adventure. Thanks for being here, and as always, stay curious, stay bold, and keep exploring.